welcome to the Free Zone Podcast, a space where we feel free and we talk about whatever we want, however we want it, and with no filters. So sit back, relax, have a drink, and join us for this unfiltered podcast. Today's guest is a combat sport broadcaster and commentator that has worked for the biggest companies in the industry: UFC, ESPN, WWE, Combate Global, Pro Box TV, you name it, and has also called every single world title in every major combat sports. Mr. Jimmy Smith.
When you say it all together like that, it's a lot of stuff. When you list it all, it sounds so much more impressive than I feel.
Papacito, it's such a pleasure to have you here.
Always
I've known you for many, many years.
Yes.
We worked together in Combate Global and Pro Box TV.
Yes.
But we're here because, we want to know the details of who Jimmy Smith really is. Obviously, anybody that isn't in the combat sports know who you are. But I want to know how you started, why you picked this such a tough industry, and where do you come from? Because I know that you're not from Florida. So start us on Jimmy Jr. to Jimmy Adult.
Oh, wow, that's a lot. One thing that's really, if you do want to know anything about me, my first 9 years of my life, I lived on a fruit ranch in Central California around nobody.
Wow.
My nearest neighbor was like half a mile away. Like I could stand on this thing, this like embankment, and I would look out and there was a house like way far away. And that was our nearest neighbor.
Oh gosh.
So I grew up kind of in the middle of nowhere. And then when I was 9, we moved to Long Beach, California, where I went to school and was raised and everything. And so yeah, that's like why my personality is the way it is
I always thought you were a very interesting guy. I remember the first time I saw you, in a good way. I'm serious. The first time I saw you in Combate Global, you shook my hand and you're like, well, if you need anything, let me know for the ring announcer. I don't remember, it was years ago. And then I'm like, wow, what an interesting guy. I didn't know if you were a serial killer, if you were like a porn star. If you were like, it's like a mix, very, very masculine, serious, but at the same time, very genuine and kind. It's like, you almost made me nervous, Jimmy.
Okay, let's all right. Forget the background. Let's start off all the way. People don't know what to make of me when they meet me. Mm-hmm. And it's always been a weird thing in my life where, especially women, like, people think because I'm very talkative and I talk for a living and I'm articulate that I must be great with women. I was always terrible with women because they could never figure out like what category to put me in. Right?
I would have never thought that.
Dude, no, but like people in general don't get. I remember I was in Israel and we were shooting a show called Fight Quest. It was how I got my start in like media combat sports. I hosted a show for the Discovery Channel called Fight Quest, and we were at the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem. And I have a degree in history, and we're standing there, and the producer's Jewish, but he was never like practicing Jewish, so he was like, wow, this is all new to me, kind of. And I said, he goes, man, that's the Wailing Wall. Yeah. He goes, what is that? I go, it's the remnants of the Temple of Jerusalem. It was rebuilt 3 times. It was destroyed last time by the Romans in 70 AD, and they left the wall there to show how big it was and how powerful they were, and not to mess with the Romans. And I gave him this lecture, and he goes. He looks at me,
who are you?
And he goes,
who are you?
You're a weird combination of shit. He said that. And he looked at me and goes, man, you're a weird... Because I gave him this lecture on where the Wailing Wall came from, because I had taken ancient history. And I get that all the time, when people go like, that, you're weird. Like when I was fighting professionally. And
wait. So you moved to California. Yeah. You had like a normal life outside of the ranch. So you started like socializing.
Kind of, yeah.
Socializing a little bit more.
Kind of.
You had a degree in history. So how do you go from a degree in history to combat sports?
Well, I started fighting while I was at UCLA. I went to school at UCLA. That's where I got my degree. And while I was there, I was a wrestler in high school, and they didn't have a wrestling team at UCLA. And so they had a club of guys who had wrestled before, like, hey, let's get together. They had a mat room and everything. They said, let's get together and wrestle. And I was wrestling this dude, and a jiu-jitsu coach came in, and he goes, oh, my class is here in like a half hour. You want to stick around and do jiu-jitsu? And I didn't know what he was talking about. And I went, yeah, sure, why not? And I tapped out my first 3 guys with wrestling moves. I just did them real hard until they tapped out. I was like, oh, okay. And then I took on the instructor, and we went for like 10 minutes, and he goes, you got talent, show up. And I just started doing it there. And then I've met these other guys who were into combat sports, and we would rent out a racquetball court and put mats in there and fight.
So your background is in wrestling, right? So that's why you started in the WWE.
No, that's why I started combat sports. WWE came years later. I was an amateur wrestler in school, and so that's how I got into combat sports. And then I started fighting. I was driving by a place in Huntington Beach that said jiu-jitsu, and I was like, "Oh, I'll see if they're." I pulled over, and it turned out to be where Tito Ortiz and all these legends trained at the time. Wow. And so it just luck. I just said, "Hey, do you guys teach jiu-jitsu?"
It was meant to be, my friend.
Yeah, and they said, "Okay, well, you can kind of be." What happened is I started getting good at it, and people who were getting ready for fights, they'd go, "What are you doing right now?" And I said, "Nothing. I'm sitting around." And they go, "Okay, we're going to do this thing where he's going to fight 5 guys in a row. You're guy number 4." And I went, "Oh, all right, okay." Tito Ortiz is going to get ready for Elvis Sinisek, so we need a guy to do this. So just do that. And I went, "All right." They just kind of threw a warm body in there, and so I learned very, very quickly. And then I got a phone call from a teammate of mine who has since passed away, and he said, "They're doing this show for the Discovery Channel. Can you call this number and do a phone interview?" And I went, "All right." And I did a phone interview. And then when you ask, how did the history degree get me where I am? When I did the audition, what they do is they put me in a room kind of like this. The guy just had a handheld camera and was at my gym. And they said, "Okay, pretend you're in Thailand and, what would you do?" And I made up a temple behind me that I had studied in school. And I said, "I'm in front of this temple. It's 600 years old."
You're such a nerd, too.
I was a dork. I was a dork. And so what I did is wherever they put me, I gave all these historical facts of where I'm from, the Hermitage Museum here in St. Petersburg, Russia. This is how Sambo started. It was a military style. And they went, "All right, you got it." They just went like, "Okay, no one else can do this." So that's how the history part helped me, because wherever we went, I knew enough about where we were to make it interesting in like a travel show.
So when was your first official TV gig where you started doing the commentating and the broadcast?
Right. So first I hosted this documentary, and then as I was doing it, we were still shooting it, and this guy called me named Jerry Millen, who was the VP over a promotion called Pride in Japan. And he said, "Hey, I'm working with this new promotion called M1. Can you call a fight in Amsterdam next Wednesday?" And it was like Tuesday. And they said, "Can you?" And I went, "Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay." And I got on a plane, flew to Amsterdam. They said, "You're the color commentator." I went, "Okay." And they said,
"You didn't know, you had no idea how to do it. You just showed up there and just started talking about the."
But I knew all the fighters.
Okay, so you knew the fighters. You obviously knew the technique.
Right.
So you just had a conversation.
Yeah.
Like that was that.
Yeah. And they went, "You're really good. Stick with it." And they hired me right there.
Wow.
After my first show. They said, "Okay, you're going to be our guy." I did a show about every 3 weeks, a month or so. And then it kind of, M1 started fading, started doing fewer shows. And then some of the people I worked with went to Bellator, and they went, "Hey, man, this guy's really good. You should take him." I went to Bellator, worked there for 8 years. And you know as well as I do, what it is that you work with people and they go, "We need a guy."
Yeah,
and they go,
recommend
"Well, Jimmy's good.
Yeah.
He's easy to work with. He's prepared all the time. He shows up on time. Use that guy." And so I like everyone else, you go from gig to gig until you...
Yeah, and this industry is very interesting because this is not only how talented you are, it's how easy you are to work with and the people you know. That's in every industry pretty much. But also, if people like you, they usually have a tendency of recommending you.
Yeah.
And you are a weird individual, but a very likable person.
I'm easy to work with. And another thing too, people always, I get asked a lot, like, I want to work in broadcast. How do I do it? Be on time. Be prepared. Do your prep. Be a professional. Like, it's this idea of, if the show starts at 5:30, you're there at 5. I'm always ringside or cage side. You've worked with me. I'm always ringside or cage side early because I don't like being surprised. I don't like, comms don't work. Hey, my headset doesn't work and we're on air in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
They don't have time to fix that kind of stuff.
Right.
I like to be there a half hour early. Hey, does everything work?
And that's the question that I always ask almost every person that I interview. Like, what's something like to the people that want to start maybe being a commentator, working in the entertainment industry, what's an advice that you give them? And most of the people give them the same advice. Be prepared, be on time, and try to be the best you can for the gig that you're about to do.
Be flexible. This is the fight world. We're calling real things that are variable. And so we were calling a fight in San Antonio last Saturday, and they changed the fight. Our guy didn't make weight, and so certain guys weren't prepped because they shifted the card a little bit, and they're like, "He's still getting his hand wrapped. We need 20 minutes." Okay, so Chris, what do you think about this co-main event? What do you think about that?
Yeah, you gotta improvise.
Okay,
That's
got
another
it.
thing. We have to be masters of improvisation because if not, like, imagine when, oh, you got 2 minutes to fill in on TV. That's a long time.
It's a long time.
It's a
Yeah.
long time, especially when you have to talk about something very specific. But I mean, obviously, your professional career is, it's amazing. You not only you've been lucky because not everybody has. You came from a ranch, studied history, and then you work for the biggest companies in the industry.
Yeah.
Not everybody has the luxury to say that.
Yeah.
I want to ask you two questions. Number one,
Yes.
how do you do to manage your personal life, wife, kids, everything, with all the travel, all the time? Because we work in a very demanding industry. We work in an industry that's very variable. You always have to go here. Then you have a fight at 9 p.m. Then you have a fight at 5 a.m. when it's in Japan. Then you have so it's a lot of moving pieces, right?
Yeah.
How do you do to manage that, to balance your life? And what has been the most challenging moment in your career?
Well, the first part is I don't work a 9 to 5 job.
Right.
The other side of what we do is I don't work 9 to 5. I'm working late. I'm there till 6 o'clock. Like, hey, I'm gone all weekend. Mm-hmm. But when I'm home, I'm home. So it's what people don't understand is I probably get more time with my family and kids than an attorney.
Yeah.
Who might work 12 hours a day and then
Right.
prep and do trial. Like, I don't do that stuff. So the time I spend with my kids might be 9 to noon, but we are out doing stuff and having fun and da-da-da. And then I go, Daddy's gone for 4 days. Da-da-da-da. But the days I'm home,
You're
I
home.
pick her up from school. I go, blah, 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 blah. You've met my beautiful daughter, right?
Aw,
And
they're adorable.
Right.
They're like two little Barbies.
Oh, they're unbelievable. But it's this idea of when I'm home, I am home. When I'm gone, I am gone. So it isn't like I come home at 7 o'clock exhausted from my 9 to 5 job and I just want to be left alone. And,
Right.
I don't do that.
But
When
I
I'm gone,
also-
I'm completely gone.
I also
So it's-
think that it takes somebody to be in the same industry that you are to understand that. Because let's say that your wife maybe was a person that works a 9 to 5 job and she wouldn't understand that dynamic. The dynamic is tough because you're traveling, you might not be able to pick up the phone, you might not be able. So it's tough to.
She's a producer.
I know, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. She's
Yeah.
a producer, so she understands that the dynamic of work that you have. So that's
Completely.
that's very important. That's because she supports you, she understands, and that's for us that's a major thing.
It's everything. And this idea too that it's like, hey, I'm shooting something, I'm gone this day and this day. Okay, cool. Then I'll figure out this and we'll do that and we'll work around this. It's normal. When someone has, and also when they're not in the business, they think when we're gone, it's like we're on vacation and we're not. I'm working. Like, so it's not like, oh, you get to go to, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
I like San Antonio. I had fun in San Antonio. I'm also working in San Antonio.
Right.
And
You're not going on vacation.
I'm not going on vacation. And when we do what we do, I'm on or I'm not. And I can't, hey, you didn't call me back because I'm calling up and fight. And I can't call you back. And
I'm exhausted by
and
the time
I'm
I finish.
tired and I go to bed. And
Right.
it's one of those things where if you don't have that kind of relationship that's totally okay with that,
Right.
it's nightmarish. But I don't have that.
Before we go into marital issues, let's
Yeah,
take a
please.
little commercial break to introduce our sponsor, Tobacco Tours. It's a Cuban American company, Jimmy, that specializes in tours in Cuba, Tobacco Tours, of course. So they explain to you everything that has to do with the Cuban culture, the cigar culture. So they're very, very interesting, custom made. Like the itineraries are amazing. So I definitely recommend that you have all the information. Click the link below, and you can obviously plan your trip to Cuba. Have you been to Cuba, Jimmy?
I have never been myself.
Oh my God, you have to
I
go.
have
It's a
not gone
beautiful
yet.
country.
I'd love to check it
Even
out.
if our president says that is on the terrorist list now.
If I get a chance to go, I would definitely do it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful island. So let's keep moving forward with
Please.
this interview because I mean you and I can be here talking for hours and hours because it's funny because you say that you're not a very outgoing person.
No.
I cannot see Jimmy Smith not being outgoing. So for me, it's almost hard to believe that. Like I've never seen I've never seen you quiet. I mean, I've seen you quiet when you're getting ready for work.
Right.
Don't take me wrong, but I can't imagine you being like this weird guys that don't talk to people.
I mind my own business.
I know that. I know.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where when I'm in an airport, when I'm going wherever I'm going, I'm doing whatever I'm doing. it's like, all right, when we were in San Antonio for the last show we called, right, it doesn't occur to me to involve anyone else in what I'm doing. I leave, I went downstairs, I walked to go get something to eat. It doesn't occur to me because I spent so much time alone as a kid. It doesn't occur to me to like involve somebody else in me going to get something to eat. Like it would never like dawn on me to go, hey, is anybody else free? Want to get something? Like I just don't really do that. I'm not that I'm unpleasant to hang out with. It's this idea that I'm very comfortable alone, and like it doesn't often occur to me to have a social interaction I don't need to have. And I don't drink, so like there's all kinds of things that are okay. Do you know the drinking game Never Have I Ever? You know this? Have you heard about this?
Yes.
Okay, I've never played it, which is another part of the story. If I played Never Have I Ever with somebody, they would be wrecked in about 5 minutes playing with me. Because everything I've never done are things everybody does all the time. The things I have done are so far out there that no one else has done them.
Talking about that, parenthesis, I know you spent some time overseas.
Yes.
Like fighting.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that. What because you were like in like 10 different countries.
Yeah.
So what was that about?
Trained at the Shaolin Temple in China.
I know.
I trained knife fighting on the rim of an active volcano in Indonesia. I fought 5 guys in a row in Japan. I fought, 6 or 7 guys in a row in Israel. I did boxing in Mexico City with Nacho Beristain and his crew.
Wow.
It's like when I list it all and I think about it all.
You were jacked.
That's me.
Jacked.
That's Fight Jimmy.
Man, you were jacked, man.
That's 25, 26-year-old Jimmy.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so I've just done things that are like, I trained in Rio de Janeiro in jiu-jitsu and, like, it's bizarre. I've done things that people, like, fantasize about.
Yeah,
and then,
I know. You've had a pretty cool life.
I've had a cool life.
Yes.
But I don't, the flip side of it is, I've never had a drink of alcohol.
No way.
I've never finished a cup of coffee.
Okay.
I've never...
Wait. You
No.
never had a drink of alcohol?
Ever in my life.
Well, I've never seen you drink. That's something that... But I thought that it was more like I thought it was more in the work environment, which, by the way...
I'm just professional.
I know that. But I know that. That's why I thought, I'm like, Jamie doesn't drink. He's professional. Usually, I don't drink neither. I'm like, I can have a glass of wine once in a while, but I'm not like a heavy drinker or anything like that. But I never thought... ever in your life...
Never.
Why? Is there a reason behind it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, but wait, this is getting interesting.
Yes.
I want to know why.
Both sides of my family are severe alcoholics.
Okay.
Like all over the place. Like everybody.
Makes sense.
So I just went, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
Like that particular vice, I'm going to completely stay away from. So I never did.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. I can definitely see that.
My high school, when I was working in Long Beach, I was a teacher before I was a fighter, and I was leading this team of other teachers doing this testing thing, and we all went to school either at my high school or a rival. We all went to school in Long Beach, right? We're all from Long Beach, and they brought in the yearbooks, and they brought in my year of yearbook, and they went, "Oh, I can't wait to see what Jimmy looked like," and I was like, "Good luck." And they looked up where my picture would be, and it's not in there. And then they looked up where I should have been in the yearbook. I'm not anywhere in there. And then they turn to the back page, and I go, look at the back page. And it has a page that says, Jack Rabbit's missing in action. Sorry we missed you. And it says, James Smith. I don't appear anywhere in the yearbook, right? So I didn't go to graduation. I didn't do...
Right.
So all the stuff that's like
normal.
normal.
You didn't have a traditional,
I had
normal life.
Yeah, I had no...
You know what's interesting? I think that all the people that I know that work with us in this industry, no one has had a normal life.
No.
Like... every single person that I've interviewed so far, every single person that I think that has worked with us, no one, not even one individual has had a normal life, traditional life. Not like I don't like to say simple, normal, because that's a very not even a fair word, but because what's normal today?
But you have to have something weird about you to want to do this. Like it's not normal to want to do it. Like I got punched in the head for a living and I was fine. Yeah. Like someone's gotta have a screw loose to even do this, And like I have a cousin who is 10 years younger than me and he's big. He's a big, strong kid. And one day I took him to LA to hang out with me when I was living in LA. And I took him to my gym, show him some stuff, and he was having fun. And my coach goes, "Man, he's a big kid, real athletic. You give him a shot." And I looked at my coach and I go, he's not a killer. He's a nice kid. He doesn't have it in him.
Right.
And he goes,
you can tell already.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's like you can be a good athlete and
Right.
like you're real athletic, but you know, I remember I got up kicked in my last MMA fight, which means the guy's on his butt. I'm standing over him, and he launches this up kick at my face. And my coach, at the end of the fight, goes, you know, I win. You know, I submit the guy, and he goes, "Man, you all right with that up kick?" And I said, "Yeah, man, it missed me." I thought it was going to hit me. It missed me. And he looked at me and goes, "It hit you square in the face, bro." And I saw the replay, you know, later, and the dude kicks me right in the face, and I just go boom, and I
Yeah, because you're so in the zone that and the adrenaline is so high that you probably didn't even feel it.
didn't feel a thing.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
But like, not even like people like the things that normally freak people out just don't do anything to me.
I'm about to
Just,
freak you out with these questions right
Hit me.
now. You see this? This is like my favorite part of the show.
All right. All right. I believe you.
I know the questions that I'm going to ask you, well, more or less, because I don't
Great.
actually have a script or anything. We're just having a conversation
Of
here,
course.
a real raw conversation. But here, you're in charge of your own destiny, my friend. So you're going to pick 3 questions, and we're going to start with the first one. And you're going to have to reply with the truth. Only the truth.
Gotcha.
I know you're an honest person, so
Nothing
I'm not
but
going to make
the
you do
truth.
the swearing and all.
No problem.
Go ahead. We're going with the first
I
one.
like this one on the side. It's calling to me for some reason.
Oh,
Is this
God.
1 or 2? It's 1. There you go.
You want me to read it for you?
Please.
Okay.
You're the one doing the interview.
I know, but I wanted to take you the lead for a little bit. Okay, what what has been the biggest challenge you've faced in your career and personal life?
My career is the idea that we're in a real precarious industry. It's not like working in the NFL where there's going to be an NFL next year, and
Right.
it's. I've worked for half a dozen promotions that no longer exist. That had nothing to do with me. It's just.
It's what happens.
It's what happens.
What
like
happens.
we're out of money. We don't exist anymore. So
Right.
you got to go find another job. It's everybody in combat sports knows me. If I were as well known in the NFL as I am in combat sports, I
Right.
wouldn't worry about my next gig because
Right,
I'm
'cause
big
you
in the
have-
NFL.
you have- right.
Yeah, or whatever. And the nature of our business is like that. It's just this promotion, hopefully they last, and
Right.
it gets around and like, oh man, things aren't going great. You start asking producers what's going on, right? We've
Yeah.
all been there. That's the most difficult part. The most difficult part in my personal life is, my personal life's been pretty good. It's like you said, the idea that when I was younger, especially, people can't really figure me out. They kind of like label me as something, and then I talk to them for 2 seconds. They go, "Oh, wait a second," and they go, "All right," or whatever it is. They everybody misjudges me. Everybody mislabels me. Everybody, has an idea about me that's completely off. I had an MMA journalist who was a friend of mine go, "Man, you must have been the guy at the frat party hanging out and being." And I went, "I've never been to a frat party. First off, secondly, no. Like
Yeah,
she had
yeah.
the exact wrong
I'm
idea.
telling you,
about
that
me.
happened to me too. The first time I met you, I'm like, okay, here's a very interesting individual. Very interesting. Because you have a very, very deep look in your eyes. And that I can tell that you've lived like 10 lives. Like 10 lives.
That's what it feels like.
But yes. But at the same time, it was I'm like, okay, he's a nice guy, but I can't read him right. Where is he coming from? Is he a serial killer? What's the deal with this dude? So honestly, eventually, I know you for years. I know who you are. But, at the beginning, it was like, okay, what's going on?
I get that a lot.
We're going with the
Next
second one.
All right. second one. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Get it.
Which one speaks to me? This one on the bottom speaks to me. Okay, there you go. Booyah.
Okay,
So,
let's go.
I think you
So let's see. Da-da-da-da-da. Uy, this is a little bit more personal. Have you ever regretted being with someone and why?
Not,
Jimmy.
no. Not never that I'm aware of. I'm thinking way back.
How long have you been married?
13 years.
13 years. Okay, before you got
Right.
married.
But, all right, let's talk about it. I never get my wires crossed.
Okay.
I never get my wires crossed. So whenever I've been in a relationship, I'm like, all right, here's what's going on. Here's what I need. Here's what you need. We're good.
Okay.
And I don't ever overstep my boundaries. I don't ever you know? And so I don't, now other people have had problems with that.
Right.
I don't ever. Like, you know what I mean? Like I've had people go, you know, I thought you'd eventually feel differently. I told you I wouldn't feel differently. But, you know, most guys, I
You're
don't.
very consistent.
I just, you know what I mean? Like when I've had relationships, I've been in a lot of alternative relationships.
Right.
And so when I've been in open relationships, I've been in stuff where, and you know, I've been in situations where, you know, somebody's out with somebody else, and I'm like,
I know
okay.
this is a very tough question.
No,
You don't want to
it's
throw
not,
everybody under the bus.
right? No, because it's, you know, these are people I don't interact with anymore. But the idea that if I'm with somebody and I'm in an open relationship, I don't tell them who to date. I don't ask them who they're dating.
Right.
And so, you know, and they're kind of like, "It doesn't bother you?" No.
Right.
And they're kind of like, "But
I mean, that was the agreement initially.
that's the deal. I don't care." And
I
people,
know.
I have this ability to kind of, you know, understand what my parameters are, and that's it.
Separate.
And it's
This is what it is. This is A, this is B, this is C, and this is how it's going to be. This is not going to change.
and it's not going to change at all. And I never, so me personally, I haven't had problems with it. People around me sometimes do, because a lot of, and especially, you know,
Women.
but also men talk a good game about how, you know, I don't even care. And they do.
They do.
They do. They big
We
time.
know.
They
We
really
know,
do.
We know.
I don't. When I say like, no, it's all right. Date whoever you want. Really?
You know, now I'm thinking, thank God I don't have to answer this question.
Yeah, I just don't, man. Like, I'm very good at not doing it. So.
Let me not keep removing. Let's go with the third question before this gets even more complicated.
Please. To see, you know what's funny? To me, it isn't complicated.
No, I know.
To me, it's simple.
It's
You
very
know?
simple. But for a lot of people, it's not.
Dude, for almost everyone, it isn't. And
I know. People
I don't know.
life is so simple. We're the ones that make it complicated.
That's how I see
it. Honestly. Okay, we go with the last question. Great. I was so excited to make you this interview. You have no idea.
I have some idea, and I appreciate it.
Oh my God, this is I've never done this question before. This is very interesting.
Love it.
If your love life were a movie, would it be a comedy, a drama, or a horror film?
Is there a fourth option?
Nope.
Is there a fourth option?
No. Comedy, drama, horror film. Oh, you can do like a, comedy drama.
It would be kind of a good horror film, I guess is the best way to put it.
I love horror films. So,
right.
I mean,
Okay. Once again, the never have I ever.
Right.
I've done shit that would make you go,
what?
Really? You know what I mean? Like, okay, all right, exactly what you're seeing here, and I'm going to be totally honest here. The people that find something interesting about me are usually a little out there.
Right.
The people that just like, hey, how you doing? Like, they don't like me. Like,
yeah. Because they're a little bit more basic. They're not used to.
Right. So, like, the people that do connect with me tend to really trust me a lot. They tend to be kind of out there. They tend to be kind of experienced. And so as I was coming up in my life and just having experiences, the ones I had were just really out there. Wild and crazy and insane and all this kind of stuff. So, and also sex to me is like fighting.
Right.
Stay with me. Mm-hmm. In that.
I'm following.
Right. You follow me. Is that what's really kind of funny is if you aren't damn near professional, I'm trying to teach you without hurting you.
You're an amateur.
I'm trying to teach you without hurting you. Okay. So it's like if I do jujitsu and you're below a blue belt, I'm trying not to hurt you.
Right.
I'm going here. That's how you do this. Check that out. Isn't that fun? Right. Purple and up, we're good. Right. So it's very, very true that's been kind of my whole life is like, all right, I'll tell like a version of the story. I was in Japan and I was working in Japan, and out of the blue, one of the people I work with shows up at my door in the middle of the night. She's there. She knocks on my door, and they'd had some kind of party that I didn't go to. And I open the door, and she just goes, hey, and she just wanted to spend the night with me. And I looked right at her, and I go, I would put you in a hospital. She was like this big. And I was like, she was tiny. For a Japanese woman, she was tiny.
Oh, gosh.
And I'm like, I just literally go, oh, no. Like, honey,
Don't get offended, but no.
I'm like,
no.
don't get hurt.
I'm not trying to go. Yeah.
I'm not trying to explain to
Oh,
an
God.
emergency room what happened to you. Like, no.
Oh my God.
But that's me and my life and my experiences. So I guess horror movie in a good way. I don't know how to explain that.
I would, after this comment that you did and this story, I would say a horror.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Comedy
A comedy horror.
Comedy
That's
horror.
a great way. Like a comedy
agree.
horror movie. Like a campy horror movie. That is kind of my love life.
I love the 3 questions. They were perfectly
Yes.
for you because usually you don't hear a lot of your personal stuff.
I don't
Jimmy.
tell a lot of
So
personal
this
stuff
is-
to people,
I'm
so there
actually
you go.
honored that you're here saying this thing. So let's go back to your professional part.
Please.
So you're working right now with ProBox TV. Do you have any other gig online? Do you have any other projects?
Yeah, it looks like I'm going to be doing some work for PFL later in the year. They're international stuff.
Oh, wow.
So looks like I'm going to be working internationally for them, maybe 4 or 5 shows this year. That fills up my schedule. People, ProBox TV, if you want, I do a show every single day. Right here in Deerfield every day. I'm on the road at least once a month for them. We do stuff on the weekends when there's a big fight. I do a pre-show and a post-show. Sometimes we do stuff remote for them. So that takes a lot of time. So that's what I have going on now. And then I've done, this year I did my first for Josh Barnett, his Bloodsport, which is like a really like a realistic style pro wrestling where they do a lot of MMA type stuff. And he, just called me and said, "Hey man, you want to come to Vegas and do this show?" And I went, "Yeah, sure, no problem." Flew down there, did it,
Wow.
So there are other pro wrestling opportunities to be coming in later in the year, but between ProBox TV and PFL, it's a lot of my time.
I know, but that's good. That's good. Having work in this industry is a blessing.
Yeah.
It's a blessing, especially because things are changing a lot right now. Things are with the TV streaming platforms. It's just crazy. It's almost crazy what's going on.
Yeah.
All of these companies disappearing. Like, we're blessed that we have work. Honestly,
I have worked consistently since the middle of 2007 in broadcast, in television, the end of 2006. That's how long I've been in this.
So, I mean, we're kind of running out of time, and it's a shame because, again, I could keep going for hours. We could keep talking for hours, but I know that, I admire you a lot. You're great at what you do. You can tell that you're not a very outgoing person, but I could disagree a little bit here. Bear with me.
When you get to know me, I am, and you know me. So there you go.
Yes. So what would be, we kind of went over this already, but what would be an advice that you would give to the people that want to be either a fighter or a broadcaster?
It's the similar level of discipline where there are a lot of people in the fight world who are physically talented, or man, he's real fast, or he's real big, or he's real strong. If you don't have the discipline to show up every day and do your road work and do this, and like you just kind of like, I know a lot about fighting. Great. If you haven't done your prep, it's going to show. And at the crucial moment when you need it, you're not going to have it. And to me, that is everything. It's that really talented quarterback who doesn't, I don't go to team meetings. I don't go to, well, you're not going to make it in the NFL, bro.
Right.
That'll get you to a certain point, and then you have to do your study and your prep. And it's the boring, repetitive, you're a ring announcer, and you go, what are their last names? Make sure I get this. And the people that don't, it shows.
Right.
So it's the minutia that bores people.
Right.
That makes you good at anything. And I don't think broadcasting's any different.
Thank you so much for being with us, Jimmy. You are amazing. I love you.
Love you
I
too.
love what you do. I love you personally. I love you as a friend. And you have no idea how honored I am to have you here in the Free Zone. And you guys, please subscribe, follow us on Instagram, and stay tuned for the next interview in the Free Zone podcast.